Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into something fundamental. We're on a mission to find that single smallest unit of success, what we're calling the atomic change.
That's right.
We're looking through our source material for that tiny, almost invisible tweak you can make today.
Yeah.
The kind of thing that, over time completely shifts your life's trajectory.
Exactly. This deep dive is all about pulling together the core ideas of habit formation. We want to show you, the listener, how these tiny, tiny changes, these atomic habits, are really the powerhouse behind huge compound results. And this isn't just personal stuff. It applies just as much to your professional life, your ambitions.
Okay, and to kick things off, there's this fantastic story from the world of sports. It just perfectly captures this whole idea. The British cycling revolution.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic example.
It really is. See, before about 2002, British pro cycling was, well, let's just say it wasn't great. Almost 100 years of mediocrity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Think about it. Only one Olympic gold medal since 1908, and the Tour de France. The biggest race. 0 British winners in 110 years.
Ouch.
It got so bad, apparently, that one big European bike maker actually refused to sell bikes to the team. They were genuinely worried it would hurt their brand if people saw the Brits riding their gear.
Wow. It's hitting rock bottom, isn't it? But then things changed. They brought in Dave Brailsford as the new performance director.
Right. And he didn't come in demanding some massive overnight transformation, no magic bullets.
No, his whole philosophy was surprisingly simple. He called it the aggregation of marginal gains.
Aggregation of marginal gains. Sounds a bit technical.
It just means he wasn't hunting for one big breakthrough. He was looking everywhere for tiny, tiny improvements. Like a 1% edge in absolutely everything they did.
1% in everything. That sounds incredibly detailed, almost obsessive. What did that even look like? Was it just about, better bikes?
Well, they definitely started there. That's the obvious place. They redesigned bike seats for more comfort, rubbed alcohol on tires for better grip, tested fabrics in wind tunnels for tiny aerodynamic advantages. Standard stuff, maybe?
Okay.
But Brailsford insisted they had to find these gains everywhere the rider interacted with their world, not just the bike.
So beyond the equipment itself.
Oh, way beyond. They tested different massage gels to see which ones sped up muscle recovery the fastest. They actually hired a surgeon.
A surgeon.
Yeah, to teach the riders the absolute best way to wash their hands, just to cut down the risk of getting sick during the racing season.
You're kidding. Hand washing technique for a 1% gain.
Seriously. And get this. They had individual pillows and mattresses scientifically chosen for each rider, and they shipped these to every single hotel the team stayed at.
Wait, they hauled custom mattresses around Europe?
Yeah.
Just for sleep quality? For that 1%?
They did. And here's how granular it got. They painted the inside of the team truck white.
White. Why white?
So the mechanics could spot tiny bits of dark dust or grit more easily. Anything that might potentially mess with the performance of those finely tuned bikes.
Okay, that's next level.
The idea itself wasn't super complex, though. Find 100 things you can improve by just 1%. Add them all up, and the total effect, the aggregate, is going to be massive.
And the results? Well, they speak for themselves, don't they? Just 5 years after Brailsford started this, the British team completely dominated the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Took something like 60% of the available gold medals.
Astonishing turnaround.
Then 4 years later, in London, 9 Olympic records, 7 world records. And in the Tour de France, they won it 5 times in 6 years between 2012 and 2017. From total obscurity to utter dominance. It's just proof of this power of tiny gains applied consistently.
Right. So the British cycling story gives us the narrative, the illustration, but underneath that is the math, the engine driving it all. And we really need to get our heads around the geometry of these small decisions.
Okay, let's dig into that math because, for the listener, this is where it gets kind of mind-bending. You hear 1% improvement, and you just shrug, right? It's nothing today.
Seems insignificant.
Exactly. But if you actually manage to get just 1% better every single day for a whole year, it doesn't just add up, it compounds. You end up 37 times better by the end of that year.
37 times. It's staggering when you see the number. And this isn't just some theoretical exercise. This is literally the difference between real progress and just treading water. Or worse.
Worse how?
Well, flip the coin. If you get 1% worse every day, slide back just that tiny bit consistently. By the end of the year, you've basically wiped out all your progress. You're almost back to 0.
Wow.
Habits, good or bad, they act like compound interest. The input you feed them gets multiplied over time.
And you see this compounding effect everywhere, don't you? Let's talk positive compounding first. Productivity, for instance.
Yeah, good example.
You learn one new skill, maybe figure out how to automate some tedious task you do every day. Saves you, what, 15 minutes today? Seems small.
Right.
But tomorrow and the day after and the week after, that time accumulates. It frees up your brain power for bigger things. That effect just ripples outwards and grows throughout your career.
Knowledge works just like that, too. Warren Buffett nailed it when he said knowledge builds up like compound interest. Every book you read, every deep dive like this one, it doesn't just add facts. It gives you new ways to think, new connections between old ideas, your ability to connect the dots. It grows exponentially.
And maybe the most powerful one, relationships.
Yeah.
Just being a tiny bit kinder, a little more thoughtful, maybe slightly more generous in your interactions.
Yeah.
Day after day.
Yeah.
Compounds over months and years into this incredibly strong network.
Yeah.
People reflect that back at you. Your social capital just multiplies.
But, and this is the crucial warning, the dark side is just as powerful. Negative compounding. Think about daily stress.
Okay.
That little anxiety about a deadline, the frustration over money, the constant background noise of modern life, each one feels manageable on its own.
Yeah, you just deal with it.
Right. But when those little stresses keep hitting you day in, day out for years without any real resolution, they compound into serious health problems, burnout, heart issues. It's like that tiny drip in the ceiling you ignore until the whole room is flooded.
And negative thoughts.
Yeah.
They work the same way, don't they? It's like digging a groove in your brain.
Exactly. If you keep running that loop, I'm not good enough, I always mess this up, you literally train your brain to see the world through that filter. You start noticing things that confirm it, seeking out negative situations or people, reinforcing that whole self-defeating story.
Which is why understanding this next idea is so critical. It's called the plateau of latent potential.
Yes. Because progress often feels like it should be linear, right? You put in effort, you expect results. But the results are often delayed. They're hidden until you cross some invisible threshold.
And most people give up right before that happens.
They do. That's the tragedy. Think about the classic ice cube analogy. It explains it perfectly.
Okay, lay it on us.
Imagine a room with an ice cube on a table. The temperature slowly rises from 25 degrees to 30, then 31. You look at the ice cube, nothing. Still solid. Looks like your effort is wasted.
Right, no visible change.
Then the temperature hits 32 degrees, just one more degree. Numerically, it's the same size jump as before. But suddenly, bam, a huge change. The ice starts melting. That 1 degree shift unlocked all the stored energy, all the previous warming.
The effort wasn't lost, it was just latent, hidden.
Exactly. And you see this pattern everywhere. Cancer, for example, can spend 80% of its life completely undetectable, growing silently. Then suddenly it seems to explode and take over in months.
Or bamboo.
Yes. Bamboo spends maybe 5 years underground, building these huge, complex root systems you can't even see. Then boom, it shoots up 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Years of invisible work. Then sudden, dramatic growth.
So mastery requires patience. You have to trust the process even when you don't see the results immediately. There's that great quote the San Antonio Spurs used to keep in their locker room.
The stonecutter quote from Jacob Riis. It's perfect.
Remind us.
It goes something like, "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before. It's the accumulated force, the stored effort."
That just nails it. Your effort is building up even when you can't see it. And, to really see this principle lived out, we just need to look at the author's own story. It started with this really serious setback that forced him to embrace starting small.
Yeah, his personal journey is incredibly compelling. It really grounds the whole philosophy. It happened on the last day of his sophomore year in high school. Just a freak accident. Got hit square in the face with a baseball bat.
Oof. Sounds brutal.
It was. Crushed his nose, multiple skull fractures, shattered both eye sockets. He ended up in a coma.
Jeez. What was the recovery like?
Really tough. He had temporary amnesia when he woke up, apparently thought it was 1998 and Bill Clinton was president, when it was actually 2002 with George W. Bush.
Disorienting.
Totally. Plus, double vision for weeks, couldn't drive for 8 months, had to do physical therapy just to relearn basic stuff like walking in a straight line.
And baseball was his passion. Right. How did that go?
That was maybe the hardest part emotionally. His dad played minor league ball. It was huge in his life. When he finally got back, he got cut from the varsity team, relegated to junior varsity. He said it was humiliating. From a promising player to struggling with basics.
Wow. But fast forward a few years.
Right. Years later, he was named the top male athlete at his university, Denison, made the ESPN Academic All-America team.
So how did that happen? Was there one big turning point?
No, and that's the key. He stresses it wasn't a single defining moment. It was a gradual evolution, a really long series of tiny wins, tiny improvements, applied relentlessly day after day, year after year. Because of the injury, the only way forward for him was to start small.
Which gives incredible weight to the whole system we're about to unpack, right? The 4 laws of behavior change. His life is the proof of concept.
Okay, so we've established that these small atomic changes are incredibly powerful because they compound. Now, how do we actually build them? We start with the first law. Make it obvious.
Real obvious.
This connects back to Thorndike's law of effect. Basically, behaviors that lead to satisfying results get repeated. But nothing happens until you notice the trigger, the cue that kicks off the habit sequence.
But the tricky part is, so many of these cues are subconscious.
Right.
We don't even realize what's triggering us half the time, like that paramedic story you mentioned.
Oh, that's a fantastic illustration. Yeah, she's at a family gathering, looks at her father-in-law, and just knows something is seriously wrong. Even though he felt fine, said he was fine.
But she insisted to go to the hospital.
She did. And she saved his life. Turns out he had a major artery blockage, was probably hours away from a massive heart attack.
Wow. How did she know?
That's the thing. She couldn't consciously explain it at the time. It was years of experience. Her brain had developed this unconscious ability to recognize a really subtle pattern, a slight change in how the blood was distributed in his face. It was an instant intuitive pattern recognition. The cue was obvious to her trained subconscious.
That's amazing. But that autopilot can also lead us astray, right? Like the story of the retail clerk.
Exactly. This clerk was trained to cut up empty gift cards after they were used. Standard procedure. She did it hundreds of times.
It's become automatic.
Totally automatic. So one day, a customer pays with their actual credit card. The clerk processes it, hands back the receipt, and then, on complete autopilot, snip, cuts the customer's valid credit card right in half.
Oh, no.
Because the repetition just overrides thinking. You just execute the pattern. And the science on these embedded cues is pretty stark. Researchers showed recovering addicts a picture of cocaine for just 33 milliseconds.
That's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Too fast to consciously see it.
Way too fast. They couldn't tell you what they saw. But even that brief flash was enough to light up the brain's reward pathway and trigger a craving. You can break a habit, maybe, but those environmental cues, they stick around. They're hard to forget.
Okay, so if the cues are often invisible or subconscious, the first step has to be awareness, making them visible.
Precisely. Which leads us to the first practical tool, the habits scorecard.
How does that work?
It's simple, really. You just take a piece of paper or open a doc and list out your daily habits. Everything. Wake up, turn off alarm, check phone, brush teeth, make coffee. Just list them chronologically.
Got it. Then what?
Then you go back through and rate each one. Put a plus sign next to habits that serve your goals, a minus sign next to ones that hinder you, and an equal sign for neutral ones.
So like checking my phone first thing is probably a minus if it leads to distraction.
Probably. Making a healthy breakfast might be a plus. Weighing yourself could be plus or minus depending on your goals and mindset. But here's the important part.
Right.
The goal isn't just labeling good or bad. That gets into unhelpful moral judgments. The source emphasizes that habits are really just effective or ineffective at solving problems.
Okay, explain that. Smoking isn't bad.
Well, it's effective at relieving stress in the moment. That's why people do it. But it's obviously incredibly ineffective for long-term health. So the real question for your scorecard isn't, is this good or bad? It's, does this habit cast a vote for or against the kind of person I want to be?
Ah, okay. Does checking my phone first thing vote for focused, productive person or against it?
Exactly. That reframing makes it objective. You're just observing the current reality without judgment, making the invisible visible.
Okay, so once you've used the scorecard and you know your cues, what's next? You control the environment.
Bingo. That brings us to tool 2. Environment as the invisible hand. We think we make choices based on preference, but often we choose based on convenience and visibility. Location, location, location.
Like why certain brands are everywhere. Bud Light or Starbucks.
Exactly. They win partly because they're the obvious, easy choice. They're just there, frictionless.
And there was a study about this in a hospital cafeteria.
Yes, led by Dr. Anne Thorndike. Brilliant study. They wanted people to choose healthier drinks, but they didn't lecture anyone and didn't put up posters. They just changed the choice architecture.
What does that mean?
Before, the refrigerator's right by the cash registers. Only soda. So the researchers simply added bottled water to those same fridges, and they put big baskets of bottled water right next to all the food stations.
Made water impossible to miss.
Exactly. Made it super obvious, super convenient, and the results were immediate. Over the next few months, soda sales dropped by over 11%. Water sales jumped by almost 26%.
Wow, just by rearranging the drinks.
Just by changing the environment, nobody's willpower suddenly increased. They just made the healthy choice the path of least resistance in that specific context.
And retailers know this inside out, don't they? Product placement is everything.
Oh, absolutely. Stuff at eye level sells more. That's where the high-profit brands go. Those end cap displays at the end of aisles, they call them money-making machines. Apparently, something like 45% of Coca-Cola's sales come from those highly visible end cap spots. Visibility drives purchasing.
Okay, so how do we use this for good habits? Beyond just putting water bottles out.
Think about energy conservation. That Dutch study on electrical meters is fascinating. Homeowners whose meters were placed in obvious spots, like the main hallway, used 30% less energy than their neighbors whose meters were hidden away in the basement.
Just making consumption visible changed behavior that much.
Yep, out of sight, out of mind. Visible, you become conscious of it and you adapt.
So redesigning our own space is key. The book mentions the apple bowl anecdote.
Right, simple but effective. If you buy apples and stick them in the crisper drawer in the fridge, you forget they're there, they go bad.
Guilty as charged.
But you buy a nice big bowl, put it right in the middle of your kitchen counter, and fill it with those apples. You'll start eating them. It feels almost like magic, but it's just visibility. You made the cue obvious.
Makes sense. And context matters too, right? Like the insomnia study.
Hugely important. Yeah, the insomniacs were told, only go to bed when you're actually tired. If you're lying there awake for more than, say, 15 minutes, get up and go to a different room, do something relaxing until you feel tired again, then go back to bed.
So breaking the association between bed and being awake and frustrated.
Exactly. Over time, they retrained their brains to associate the context of the bedroom, even the bed itself, only with the action of sleeping. Not with checking phones or worrying or watching TV, just sleep. And it worked. It made falling asleep easier.
So the rule is, design your environment. Make the cues for your good habits obvious and visible. And maybe try to link specific habits to specific locations. One place, one use. Okay, so we've made the cue obvious using the environment. We see the trigger for the good habit we want. But just seeing it isn't always enough, is it? There's still the hurdle of actually doing it.
Right. Which brings us straight to the third law. Make it easy. This is all about reducing the friction, the effort required to perform the behavior you want.
Make it easy. Sounds good. But is it just about being lazy?
Not lazy, efficient.
Right.
Our brains are fundamentally wired to conserve energy. It's a survival mechanism. It's called the law of least effort. When we're faced with a couple of similar options, we will naturally unconsciously gravitate towards the one that requires less work.
So we're always looking for the easiest path.
Pretty much. The action that gives us the most value for the least effort tends to win out. It even shapes history on a grand scale. Think about why agriculture spread differently across continents. Jared Diamond pointed this out. Europe and Asia are mostly oriented east-west. Similar latitudes, similar climates. So farmers could spread the same domesticated crops across vast distances with relatively little extra effort. Low friction.
Right. Makes sense.
But the Americas and Africa, they're oriented north-south. Drastic climate changes as you move along that axis. Spreading agriculture meant constantly having to find and domesticate new plants suitable for each climate zone. Way more friction, way slower spread.
Wow. So friction literally shaped civilizations.
It did. And on a personal level, we often get stuck because we confuse motion with action.
Motion versus action, what's the difference?
Motion is planning, strategizing, researching, reading articles about the habit you want to build. Like reading 10 articles about the best way to start running. Action is actually putting on your shoes and going for a run.
Motion feels productive, but it doesn't actually produce a result.
Exactly. We often use motion as a way to feel like we're making progress without ever facing the friction of actually doing the thing.
Okay, but if the law of least effort is real, shouldn't we just do easy stuff all the time? Avoid hard work.
No, it's not about seeking easy outcomes. It's about making the process of doing valuable, important things as frictionless as possible. That photography class experiment is the perfect example.
Remind me of that one.
Professor divides students into two groups. One group, the quantity group, is graded purely on the number of photos they submit. 100 photos gets an A, 90 gets a B, and so on. Doesn't matter if they're good.
Sheer volume.
Right. The other group, the quality group, only needs to produce one photo all semester, but it has to be nearly perfect.
Okay, so who took the better pictures in the end?
The quantity group, by far. All the best photos came from them.
How? Why?
Because they were out there doing it, taking hundreds of pictures, constantly experimenting with composition, lighting, trying things out, making mistakes, and crucially, learning from those mistakes immediately.
Well, the quality.
The quality group spent most of the semester sitting around, theorizing about what makes a perfect photo, speculating, planning, but they had very little actual work, very few finished photos to show for it. Action beats motion. Repetition and practice, even imperfect practice, leads to better results than endless planning for perfection.
Okay, so make it easy is about removing the barriers to action, getting started.
Precisely. Think of it like a garden hose. Trying to force yourself to do a difficult habit through sheer willpower is like trying to blast water through a hose with a big kink in it. It takes immense pressure, creates tension, and not much water gets through.
Yeah, sounds frustrating.
Making the habit easy is like simply removing the kink. The water flows naturally without resistance. You reduce the friction.
This sounds like that Japanese manufacturing idea, addition by subtraction.
Exactly, lean production. Japanese firms became world leaders by relentlessly hunting down and eliminating waste and friction in their processes, even seemingly tiny things.
Like what?
Like redesigning a workspace so a worker didn't have to twist their body awkwardly or take an extra step to reach a tool they use frequently. Sounds minor, right?
Yeah.
But by 1974, American-made color TVs needed service calls 5 times more often than Japanese models. Those tiny friction reductions added up to massive gains in quality and reliability. Subtracting wasted effort added value.
And we see this everywhere now with habit-forming products. They're all about reducing friction.
Totally. Meal delivery services. They eliminate the friction of grocery shopping, meal planning, prepping. Voice assistants like Alexa or Google Home reduce the friction of pulling out your phone, unlocking it, opening an app.
Companies are obsessed with shaving off clicks, reducing form fields.
Because they know every bit of friction causes some people to drop off. Even governments get it. That UK tax compliance story is amazing.
Oh, yeah? The website link?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted more people to file their taxes online. They made one tiny change. Instead of linking to a landing page where you then had to find and click the link to the form, they changed the initial link to go directly to the form itself.
Cut out one click?
One single click. And the compliance rate jumped from 19.2% to 23.4%. Millions more in tax revenue just by removing one tiny piece of friction.
That's incredible. So how do we apply this kind of strategic laziness ourselves?
By priming the environment for future use, making your future actions easier.
Priming the environment.
Yeah, think about the IT developer Oswald Knuckles and his resetting the room strategy.
What did he do?
When he finishes an activity, say watching TV, he doesn't just get up. He puts the remote back exactly where it belongs. He straightens the pillows, folds the blanket. He calls himself proactively lazy.
Proactively lazy, I like that.
Because the point isn't just tidying up after the last action. It's setting the stage, reducing friction for the next action.
Ah, so making it easy to start the next good habit.
Exactly. Want to go for a run first thing? Lay out your running clothes, shoes, water bottle, headphones the night before. Zero friction when you wake up. No decisions to make, just go. Want to eat healthier? Chop veggies on Sunday for the week ahead? Prime the environment.
Okay, that makes sense for good habits. What about bad habits? How do we make them harder?
You invert the law. Make it difficult. Increase the friction for the behaviors you want to avoid.
Like Victor Hugo locking up his clothes.
The classic example. He had this massive deadline for The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Kept getting distracted, procrastinating. So he had his assistant lock away all his clothes, leaving him only this huge, shapeless shawl.
Couldn't go outside looking like that.
Right. He basically trapped himself in his study. The friction to leave the house was enormous. The path of least resistance suddenly became sitting down and writing. He finished the book 2 weeks early.
That's extreme, but it illustrates the point. It's a form of commitment device.
It is. A choice you make now that locks in your future behavior. And the most powerful, scalable commitment devices today often involve automation and technology.
How so?
Think about the invention of the cash register. John Henry Patterson owned a store plagued by employee theft. He bought one of the first mechanical cash registers, Ritty's incorruptible cashier, because it automatically locked the cash and receipts inside after every single sale. It made the bad habit skimming cash incredibly difficult and risky, increased the friction massively.
Okay, so automation can increase friction for bad habits, like using website blockers.
Exactly. Or it can decrease friction for good habits, especially ones that aren't done often enough to become truly automatic. Things like setting up automatic transfers to your savings account.
Or automatic bill pay.
Yeah.
Or prescription refills.
Yes. Automating those essential but infrequent tasks frees up your willpower and mental energy for the things that really require your focus and creativity. Make the good stuff easy. Make the bad stuff hard. All right, let's shift gears to the second law. Make it attractive. We can make a habit obvious, you can make it easy, but if you don't actually want to do it, it's probably not going to stick.
Right, you need some kind of motivation, some desire.
Exactly. And this law dives into the biology of wanting. It turns out habit formation isn't just driven by liking something, by the pleasure you get from it. It's driven more powerfully by wanting it, by the craving.
Wanting versus liking. Okay, what's the difference in the brain?
It's all about dopamine. For a long time, scientists thought dopamine equaled pleasure, but newer research shows dopamine is released before you get the reward, in anticipation of it. It's the neurochemistry of desire, of craving.
So dopamine drives the seeking behavior.
Precisely. And fascinatingly, the brain dedicates way more neural real estate to the wanting pathways than the liking pathways. Desire is a bigger driver than satisfaction itself.
Is there proof of that?
Oh yeah, there were experiments with mice. When researchers artificially flied their reward systems with dopamine, the mice developed this intense craving. They started compulsively poking their noses into a little box like 800 times an hour to get a tiny reward.
800 times an hour.
Driven purely by overwhelming desire, the wanting, even if the actual liking or pleasure from the reward didn't increase. The takeaway is, no desire, no action. Dopamine kicks in right after the cue, creates that urge, that craving, and that's what makes you act.
Okay, so we need to make our desired habits craveable. How do we do that? Especially if the habit isn't naturally appealing, like, say, flossing.
Well, one thing is understanding how easily our cravings can be amplified by what scientists call supernormal stimuli, exaggerated cues.
Supernormal stimuli.
Yeah, the classic example comes from ethologist Nico Tinbergen studying seagulls. Baby gulls peck at a red spot on their parents' beak to get food. Tinbergen made fake cardboard beaks, some with bigger, brighter red spots than reality.
And the chicks preferred the fake ones.
They went crazy for them. The exaggerated cue, the supernormal stimulus, triggered a stronger instinctive response than the real thing.
Oh, any other examples?
Gray-lag geese do it too. They have an instinct to roll eggs back into the nest, but they'll try to roll any large round object, even a volleyball, back into the nest, often preferring it to their own smaller eggs. Bigger, rounder must mean better, more valuable egg, right? Their instinct gets hijacked.
Okay, so how does this apply to us? We don't have red spots or giant eggs.
Don't we? Think about modern life. We are surrounded by supernormal stimuli, exaggerated versions of reality that hijack our ancient brain wiring. Junk food.
Concentrated salt, sugar, fat. Way more intense than anything our ancestors ate.
Exactly. Hard liquor. Concentrated alcohol. Video games. Concentrated instant feedback, social connection, challenge. Much more potent than traditional play. These things are designed to be maximally attractive, maximally craving-inducing.
So to make our good habits stick, we need to somehow make them more attractive, maybe borrow some of that supernormal power.
That's the goal. And one really effective technique is called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling.
Okay, it's simple. You pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. You link the want to the should.
Give me an example.
Okay, say you need to exercise more, but you want to watch your favorite Netflix show. Temptation bundling means you only allow yourself to watch Netflix while you're on the treadmill or exercise bike.
You link the immediate reward, Netflix, to the less appealing habit, exercise.
Precisely. You make the exercise session more attractive because it unlocks the thing you're already craving. ABC Network did this brilliantly with their Thursday night lineup.
TGIT, thank God it's Thursday.
Exactly. Shonda Rhimes' shows. ABC didn't just promote the shows themselves, they promoted the ritual around watching them. They explicitly linked watching their shows, the behavior ABC wanted, with things viewers already craved. Relaxing after a long week, drinking red wine, eating popcorn.
They bundled the show into an existing attractive ritual.
Clever.
Very clever. Made watching feel like a desirable event, not just another TV show. Another huge factor in making things attractive is our social environment.
Right.
We are deeply influenced by the people around us.
The Polgar sisters, the chess prodigies.
Perfect example, 3 sisters, Susan, Sophia, Judith. Their parents decided early on to raise them to be chess champions. They created this intense home environment, this culture where chess was everything. It was praised, celebrated, prioritized.
So the incredibly hard work of chess practice became attractive. Apparently so. Judith became the youngest grandmaster ever at the time. All 3 were world-class. And they reportedly look back on their childhood as fun and engaging, not grueling. The culture made the effort desirable, linked it to family pride, achievement, belonging.
Which taps into that deep human need to belong, to imitate others.
Absolutely. We have a powerful tendency to imitate the habits of 3 specific groups. First, the close hosts, our family and friends.
Makes sense. You pick up habits from people you spend time with.
Definitely. There was a study showing if one person in a couple lost a significant amount of weight, their partner was also likely to slim down about a third of the time. You just absorb the norms and behaviors of your immediate circle.
Okay, who's the second group?
The many. Our tribe, the broader culture, we have a deep-seated desire to fit in, to conform to the group norms. This is the Asch conformity experiment.
Oh, the one with the lines.
Yeah.
Where people gave the obviously wrong answer just because everyone else did?
That's the one. Put a subject in a room with actors, show them lines of clearly different lengths, ask which ones match. If all the actors confidently give the wrong answer, the real subject often starts doubting their own eyes and goes along with the group.
Peer pressure is powerful.
Incredibly powerful. About 75% of subjects conform to the wrong answer at least once. We want to be accepted by the tribe.
Okay, so the close, the many. Who's the third group we imitate?
The third is the powerful.
Yeah.
Those with status and prestige. We try to emulate the habits of successful people because we perceive their behaviors as linked to their success and approval.
Okay, so knowing we imitate the close, the many, and the powerful, how do we use that to make our desired habits attractive?
The most effective strategy is to join a culture where your desired behavior is already the normal behavior.
Surround yourself with people who are already doing what you want to do.
Exactly. Want to exercise more? Join a running club or a CrossFit gym where showing up and working hard is the cultural norm. Want to read more? Join a book club. The shared identity makes the behavior attractive.
Like that nerd fitness community you mentioned.
Perfect example. They target people who love video games, Star Wars, etc., but also want to get fit. They build a culture where being strong and nerdy is the norm. The shared identity, fitting in with that tribe, becomes a powerful motivator. It makes the habit attractive because it reinforces who you are or who you want to be within that group.
Okay, we've made it obvious, attractive, and easy. We're doing the habit, but how do we make it stick long term? That brings us to the fourth and final law. Make it satisfying.
Yes, and this one tackles a fundamental human challenge. Why do we repeat bad habits even when we know they're bad for us in the long run?
Right, like smoking or eating junk food.
The answer is usually because they offer an immediate reward, even a small one. That cigarette delivers an instant hit of nicotine, reducing stress right now. That cookie gives you an immediate sugar rush. The bad consequences are far off in the future.
While the good habits, the payoff is often delayed. Exercise today doesn't make you fit tomorrow. Saving money today doesn't make you rich tomorrow.
Exactly. This pits our modern lives against our evolutionary programming. Our brains evolved in what anthropologists call an immediate return environment. Survival depended on getting quick payoffs. Find food now, find shelter now, escape the predator now.
Instant gratification was key.
It was. But modern society is largely a delayed return environment. Your career builds over years. You save for retirement decades away. You work on complex projects with distant deadlines. Our brains just aren't naturally wired for that kind of long-term payoff structure. We crave immediate rewards.
So the key to making good habits stick is to somehow find an immediate reward for them.
That's the core idea. The cardinal rule of behavior change is simple. What is rewarded is repeated. We need to engineer some form of immediate satisfaction into our good habits to keep our ancient brains happy while we wait for the long-term benefits to kick in.
Okay, how do we do that?
Yeah.
Especially for habits that don't have an obvious immediate pleasure.
The Karachi soap experiment is a brilliant example. Public health worker Stephen Luby was trying to improve hygiene in slums in Pakistan, where disease spread rapidly due to poor hand washing.
Just telling people, wash your hands, it's important, didn't work.
Nope. Awareness wasn't enough. The breakthrough came when they worked with Procter & Gamble to introduce a new soap. This soap wasn't necessarily better at killing germs, but it did 2 things differently. It lathered up really easily, and crucially, it smelled great.
Ah, so the experience of using the soap was pleasant.
Exactly. It provided an immediate positive sensory feedback. It felt nice. It smelled nice. That small, immediate satisfaction was the reward. People started washing their hands not because they suddenly understood germ theory better, but because they enjoyed the feeling.
And did it make a difference in health?
Huge difference. Diarrhea rates dropped by 52%, pneumonia by 50%. And years later, follow-up studies showed hand-washing rates remained high, over 95% in the households that got the nice soap. The immediate satisfaction made the habit stick.
It's like why chewing gum has flavors or toothpaste is minty.
Precisely. Wrigley added flavors like spearmint and juicy fruit to make chewing gum immediately pleasant, creating that clean mouthfeel. Toothpaste makers added strong mint flavors. The mint itself doesn't really fight cavities any better, but it provides that immediate satisfying tingle, the feeling of freshness, that reinforces the brushing habit.
Okay, so we need to find ways to add immediate satisfaction. What are some tools for that? The book mentions the paperclip strategy.
Yes, a great, simple visualization technique. Trent Dearsmid was a young stockbroker just starting out. He put 2 jars on his desk. One was filled with 120 paper clips. The other was empty.
1 in 20 representing.
His goal for the number of sales calls he needed to make each day, every time he completed a call, he moved 1 paper clip from the full jar to the empty jar.
So he could visually see his progress throughout the day.
Exactly. He didn't focus on whether the call was successful, just on the action of making the call and moving the clip. That little physical act, seeing the pile in the empty jar grow, provided immediate visual proof of progress, instant satisfaction.
And did it work for him?
Big time. Within 18 months, he was bringing $5 million to his firm. That simple system built incredible consistency. Visual measures, paper clips, marbles in a jar, check marks on a calendar, they give immediate feedback, make progress tangible, and that reinforces the behavior.
It makes the effort feel real right away, like Jerry Seinfeld's don't break the chain method.
Same principle. Seinfeld's goal wasn't necessarily to write brilliant jokes every day. His goal was to simply write something every day and put a big red X on his calendar. After a few days, you have a chain.
And your only job then is to not break the chain.
Right. The satisfaction comes from seeing that chain grow longer and longer. It becomes its own reward. Habit tracking in general is powerful because it hits multiple laws at once. It's obvious. The tracker reminds you. It can be attractive. You want to keep the streak alive. And it's satisfying. Marking it complete feels good.
Okay, that works well for habits where you do something. But what about avoidance habits? Like not buying frivolous things or not checking social media? There's no action to reward there.
That's a great point. Those are harder because the reward is invisible. It's the absence of something negative. The solution is to make avoidance visible.
How do you make not doing something visible?
You create a tangible reward linked to the avoidance. For example, say you want to stop buying expensive lattes every morning to save money. Set up a separate savings account and label it something exciting like trip to Italy or new leather jacket. Every time you successfully resist the urge to buy that $5 latte, you immediately open your banking app and transfer $5 into that special savings account.
Ah, so the act of transferring the money becomes the immediate positive action.
Exactly. And watching that Italy fund balance tick upwards provides the immediate visible satisfaction that reinforces the habit of not spending. You're rewarding yourself for inaction in a tangible way.
That's clever. But there's a warning here too, right? About measurement becoming the goal itself. Goodhart's law.
Yes, a crucial caveat. Goodhart's law basically says, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. We can get so focused on hitting the number that we lose sight of the underlying purpose.
Give me an example.
Okay, imagine a sales team is purely measured on the number of calls they make, like the paperclip strategy. They might start making lots of short, low-quality calls just to hit the target. Even if those calls aren't actually leading to sales, they're optimizing for the measure calls made, not the goal revenue generated.
Or the restaurant example. Measuring how many customers pay is easy, but it doesn't tell you if they enjoyed the meal or if they'll come back.
Precisely. A better, though harder, measure might be how many finish their plates or how many recommend the place. Measurement is essential for tracking and satisfaction, but you have to be careful you're measuring what truly matters for your ultimate goal, not just what's easy to count. Keep the identity, the underlying purpose, in mind.
Okay, so we've got the 4 laws down. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. That's the core system for building habits. But what happens next? How do you go from just having habits to achieving real excellence and mastery?
Right. The system gets you started and keeps you going. But to reach the top, our sources point to a few advanced tactics. The first one is about choosing the right game, playing to your strengths.
This gets into talent and genetics, doesn't it? Which can be a touchy subject.
It can be, but the point isn't that genes are destiny. It's that your natural inclinations and physical predispositions give you an advantage in certain areas. Success often comes from finding the right arena for your specific talents. The contrast between Michael Phelps and Hicham El Guerrouj is perfect here.
The swimmer and the runner.
Exactly. Phelps, the swimmer, is tall, about 6'4". El Guerrouj, the legendary middle-distance runner, much shorter, maybe 5'9".
Big height difference.
Huge, but incredibly, they wear the exact same length pants inseam.
Seriously, how is that possible?
Phelps has a really long torso and relatively short legs, perfect for gliding through water, very hydrodynamic. El Guerrouj has incredibly long legs for his height and a short torso, ideal biomechanics for running, for stride length.
So their bodies are almost opposites, optimized for their sport.
Completely. Now imagine they switched sports. Phelps, with his build and weight, would be a terrible distance runner. El Guerrouj in the pool wouldn't have the same advantages. Their genetics only provide a powerful edge when applied in the right environment.
You have to match your strengths to the game you're playing.
You do, which leads to this idea of the explore-exploit trade-off.
Explore, exploit.
Yeah. When you're starting out in any field, or in life generally, it pays to explore. Try lots of different things. Take different classes, date different people, test various business ideas, cast a wide net.
To figure out what fits.
Exactly. You're searching for the games where your particular skills and genetics give you an edge. Once you find an area that really clicks, where you seem to get better results with the same effort, then you shift gears and exploit. You double down, commit deeply, focus on mastery in that specific area.
What if you feel like you're not naturally gifted at anything specific? What if you just kind of average at a few things?
That's where Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, comes in. His insight is brilliant. He said he knew he wasn't the best artist in the world. He wasn't the funniest comedian either. And his business knowledge was probably just okay.
Average skills across the board.
Right. But he realized that by combining those three average skills, drawing, humor, and knowledge of the absurdities of corporate life, he could create a unique niche, a specific game. The Office comic strip, where he had almost zero competition.
So you win by being different, by combining skills in a unique way, not necessarily by being the absolute best at one thing.
Exactly. Find your unique intersection and dominate that specific, narrow category. Okay, so you found your game. How do you stay motivated enough to master it? That's the Goldilocks rule.
Not too hard, not too easy, but just right.
Precisely. We experience peak motivation, that feeling of being in the zone or in flow, when we're working on tasks that are right on the edge of our current abilities. Challenging enough to be interesting, but not so hard that we get discouraged.
Makes sense. If it's too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get frustrated and quit.
Right. And this leads to maybe the biggest, most counterintuitive threat to long-term success. It's not usually failure, it's boredom.
Boredom.
Really?
More dangerous than failing.
Often, yes, because as habits become automatic, routine, easy, they stop being interesting. The novelty wears off, the challenge fades. And that's when most people fall off. They crave the excitement of starting something new.
So the secret is to fall in love with boredom. How does that even work?
It's about adopting the professional mindset versus the amateur one. Amateurs work hard when they feel motivated, inspired. When the feeling fades, they stop. Professionals, they stick to the schedule, whether they feel like it or not.
Show up even when it's boring.
Show up especially when it's boring. Think about Steve Martin's rise to comedic fame. It took him like 15 years. He wasn't an overnight sensation. He spent years honing his craft in tiny, often empty clubs, performing maybe 20 minutes a week, tweaking, practicing, showing up.
You just put in the reps.
He put in the reps. He said he never regretted showing up and working on something important, even if he didn't feel like it initially. The satisfaction for the professional comes from adhering to the process, from the act of showing up itself, not just from the thrill of a breakthrough.
Okay, find your game, manage the challenge level, embrace the boredom. What's the final piece for sustaining excellence?
Reflection and review. You need systems to make sure you're still on track, that your habits are actually serving your goals, and that you're not just going through the motions or optimizing the wrong things.
Like needing objective feedback.
Exactly. Subjective feelings can be misleading. Look at Pat Riley, the legendary basketball coach. He implemented a system for the Lakers called CBE, career best effort.
What did that measure?
It was a formula. It added up all the positive contributions, points, rebounds, assists, steals, even intangible stuff they called unsung hero deeds, and then subtracted the negatives, like turnovers. Then they divided by minutes played to get a player's CDE score.
So a single number reflecting overall positive impact.
Pretty much. And the goal wasn't some huge leap. He asked each player to aim for just a 1% improvement in their average CBE over the course of the season. It gave them a clear, objective, individualized target, removed guesswork.
And this kind of objective reflection helps avoid that Goodhart's law trap we talked about, measuring the right thing.
It does, because you're constantly checking if the metric truly reflects the desired outcome. You need these periodic reviews, maybe an annual review like the author suggests, where you look back at your habit streaks, assess your progress, ask yourself if your habits are still aligned with your identity.
Why periodic? Why not track obsessively every day?
Because while daily habits compound powerfully, obsessing over every tiny daily fluctuation can be counterproductive and stressful. The periodic review lets you zoom out, like looking at yourself in the mirror from a normal distance instead of an inch away.
See the big picture, not just the tiny flaws.
Exactly. You spot the important trends, the major adjustments needed, without getting lost in the noise of daily ups and downs. It keeps your efforts focused and sustainable.
So let's bring it all together. We've walked through this whole system built on the 4 laws: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. It's a framework, really, a guide to help us build the habits that vote for the person we want to become.
That's right. It's a practical system for engineering positive change. And ultimately, this journey through habits brings us back to a fundamental human question: the nature of satisfaction, of happiness itself.
How so?
Well, if you think about the constant low-grade dissatisfaction many people feel, the endless striving, it can be boiled down to a kind of formula: satisfaction. Liking, wanting.
Satisfaction equals liking minus wanting. Okay, unpack that.
Liking represents your enjoyment and appreciation of what you currently have, what you're currently doing. Wanting represents your desires, your cravings, your ambition for more, for something different in the future.
Okay.
If your wanting consistently outpaces your liking, if your desire for more always exceeds your appreciation for the present, you will perpetually feel unsatisfied, no matter how much you achieve.
That reminds me of that Seneca quote.
Exactly. Being poor is not having too little, it is wanting more. If your desires inflate just as fast or faster than your accomplishments, you never actually arrive at a feeling of contentment.
It's the hedonic treadmill.
It is. And the ultimate goal, perhaps the highest form of self-mastery, according to some wisdom traditions, is to step off that treadmill,
Right.
to cultivate the ability for observation without craving.
Observation without craving.
Yeah.
What does that mean in practice?
It means reaching a state where you can notice a cue, an internal feeling, an external trigger, a thought without your mind automatically generating a problem that needs fixing, a deficiency that needs correcting, or an urge that needs satisfying.
Just noticing without the immediate impulse to react or change something.
Yes. The ability to simply observe your current state, your current environment, and realize that in this moment, you don't actually need to do anything about it. There's no problem to solve right now.
And that leads us to the final provocative thought for you, the listener. The ultimate sign of success in this journey might not be constant achievement, but this internal state.
If you successfully engineer your habits, your environment, using these laws, you might find yourself reaching moments where you are simply present, observing, aware, but without that constant background hum of wanting, craving, needing to fix or achieve the next thing.
That realization itself, the freedom from the endless loop of desire, might be the most profound satisfaction of all.
Invest in the process, build the systems, and perhaps that deeper sense of peace is the ultimate, unexpected reward.